Hey, we're back here on the Velocity Insurance Monday Morning Quarterback. I'm Dave Ryan now, and as I said, we changed things up here a little bit for the coach and the player of the week because they had a previous commitment, but we're certainly appreciative they're taking some time out to stop by. This week we have the senior quarterback, outside linebacker for Pottsgrove, Ryan Finn, and his coach, Rick Pennypacker, in his 28th year at Pottsgrove. Guys, first of all, thanks for making some time for us here, and congratulations on a big win. I know last week they had Tom Hans and Zeke Coleman sitting in these same two seats, and they were excited. That was a big, meaningful game for them. The first time they were 2-0, they had an opportunity to play, and they ran into a buzzsaw. Rick, I'm sure you're very happy the way your team responded to that game Friday night.
Oh, yeah, and we had a lot of respect for Upper Perk coming in that game. And let me tell you, 62 points that we put up on them, that's not indicative of how the game was. I thought the Upper Perk played a great game. I thought they were playing tough. They were playing hard. A couple breaks here and there, it kind of like changed the whole game around. We got an interception. I thought that changed the momentum of the game, and then we put one in, and then we got another one and put it in again. So, we scored quickly, and next thing you know, the walls start caving in on Upper Perk. But I have a lot of respect for Hallman. I think he's a great football player. I love the Kendra kid, the wide out, the running back. They have some players, and I think Tommy's on the right track, and I think they're going to be very good in the future.
Now, Ryan, last year, you guys lost 12 seniors. You were one of the few seniors that was going to come back in a leadership role, a quarterback role, which is a natural leadership role, and on that outside linebacker position. What kinds of things did you get yourself ready for as a senior, getting you ready for a big game like you had on Friday night?
This week in practice, we tried to push ourselves extra hard. We knew they had some playmakers. We knew they had Hallman, their quarterback, and defensively they might mix some things up. So we just tried to focus and take it one day at a time and keep getting better and better.
Now, I'm talking to Zeke Coleman, who sat right there, and he said, he likes to get in there and watch some film and do things and see where he has some advantages. Are you a film guy, too?
I love film.
Okay.
I love film.
Okay.
He loves it. He loves it, yeah.
I know your coach does, and he preaches that stuff. So you get an opportunity to get in there. And what kind of things do you watch? I mean, people ask me all the time, what the heck do they watch when they watch film? Do they watch the game? Do they watch the line? Do they watch the ball? What kind of things do you watch when you watch film?
As a quarterback, I like to look at the front they have, look at the coverage they have, and defensively, I'll look who I'm matching up against or some of the tendencies they have. It's just, it's just.
Do you have to work harder on one side of the ball or the other? You try to get 50-50. How do you do that?
I think I probably watch more offensive film than defensive film, but I try and keep it 50-50 most of the time.
Yeah, I know, because I played quarterback and safety back in my day, and we didn't have a lot of quarterbacks that played both ways. And I know, Rick, you've been able to have the luxury of some pretty good quarterbacks who are athletes that could do that. Not a lot of coaches like to do that. They don't like to put that much pressure on there, but obviously you have enough confidence in these guys.
Yeah, this one here is pretty good. If I had told my defensive coordinator and my defensive coaches I was taking Ryan off the defense, I think they would probably, go crazy. Oh, my gosh. If I ever try to get him out to take a break, I see him maybe getting up a little slow, getting him. No, Ryan's staying in the game. Ryan is probably one of the most fundamentally sound outside linebackers, rocks, wills, whatever we call them, that I've ever coached. The kid can play on the tight end. He can play in space. He can cover. He can rush. He is just so fundamentally sound that sometimes it amazes me. Now, I know Josh Ford and Jim Algio will say it's all coaching, but believe me, the things he does, it amazes me at times just watching him play. Now, the quarterback, it's a different story. He and I, sometimes I wonder,
okay.
we go at it a little bit, yeah.
But for those people who don't know, it's Coach is your uncle, so there's a little bit of bloodlines in there too.
Right.
So you have that, but I know that when your brother played, he was certainly a guy like that with the high IQ and the football things too. So you guys have been around the game for a long, long time. And your father, a good Pottstown guy, he was a center back at Pottstown High School back in the day. So you have those bloodlines and some football in you. That's cool. But you know what, Rick? It's funny because, this year coming in, everybody had different expectations. First year of the new situation. I know you had a lot of mixed feelings on it. You like the local and the rivalries and all the different things. But, it has been set up. And we have the Frontier Division, which you guys are part of, which is the smaller populated schools. tell me about how are you now after halfway through the season?
Well, I like being on top of the Frontier Division. Don't get me wrong, but I like the old way better. I'm old school. I love that old fashioned. Playing Owen J. Roberts and Springford. We're not playing those two teams this year, and it feels like there's a void in us. We played Boyertown, Methacton, but we're not playing those two schools that we have had rivals with, and I don't know if we'll play PV. I don't know what the crossover game is going to be, but those three schools, I always love playing schools that we were the underdog. We play Owen J, we play Springford, we play PV. We're always the small school, the underdog, and our kids love that. We relish that role, and some great contests. I mean, Scotty Reed and I go back to laughing at each other sometimes of how we would play mind games with each other, and that's gone. And I just think that, it is what it is. I mean, when you have 12 teams in a league, you got to do something. You can't play 11 games. You got to do something. And we did what we could do, but I just like the old way.
How about you, Ryan? What's the players' perspective? I know some of the teams that have had struggles, the Upper Perks, the Pottstowns, the Phoenix Hills, they enjoy it because they feel like they have a shot. But you guys have always been competitive with the bigger schools. What's the players' perspective on that?
I think we miss playing all the schools in the Pac-10. But with that being said, you kind of have to deal with what you have, and just playing the smaller schools or bigger schools, you just got to go out and play and make the most of it, whatever it is.
And I'm sure it's not easy for you and for Gary Dorenzo, the athletic director, trying to find a lot of non-league games. You were forced, like I said, you played Boyertown, you played Methacton, but most of the other Frontier schools didn't play anybody cross division. So it's got to be a nightmare to try to find a lot of quality games for teams that you would like to play. Gary
Dorenzo goes crazy. I mean, he tries. Starting right now, he'll start looking at who we're going to play next year, who we're playing first. And, he comes in me and says, we have this team, and sometimes those teams are 100 miles away from us. So we really are. Yeah, we are strapped, and we've gone into the city the past couple of years to get games, and no one likes driving into Philadelphia on Labor Day weekend, Friday night, and hitting that traffic and playing a game. But we have been it's hard pressed sometimes to get games. I give Gary a lot of credit for just getting some of those games, and I think personally I would like to have start out with Springford, PV, Owen J, Boyertown, Methacton, and then go and play my league. I mean, that's what I would love to do, but that's not the way everybody else wants to do.
And you do have a good following. Your home games are very well attended. The kids are out. There seems to be a lot of enthusiasm, which is great. When you win games, the kids are involved and the parents are there and whatever. So that sort of hurts things a little bit too if you have to travel a long distance. Have you seen that? And the Pottsgrove people do definitely attend the games.
Yeah, we usually have a lot of supporters, but if we have a farther away game, then the student section isn't as packed or just about that.
Yeah, it's tougher for the kids to get down it. It's funny because I read a little thing in there that Tyler Smith is another one of your seniors a guy who is a leader who hustles on both sides of the ball. Said, we didn't build this tradition, we inherited it. I know that's a mantra that you guys really take to heart. Ryan, tell me a little bit about that.
Well, there's obviously been like a championship past at Pottsgrove for Pottsgrove football. And we inherited the tradition. We didn't build it, so we just try and keep the tradition going, and we do that by winning games.
And I know you guys like to bring back the old guys. You did it this year. You do your little veterans thing, Coach. So you certainly like to do a lot of things to keep everything going and keep the community involved, and that's certainly a credit to you and to Gary and your staff.
Well, I think Gary does a great job. I mean, I think every one of our games, there's something going on. It's either Veterans Night or it's homecoming or it's cancer
senior night,
awareness night, senior night. And that's always and like this past weekend it was homecoming. And we saw guys like Terrell Chester came back and Brent Carter came back and guys that came back from last year's team, and it just makes it really feel good. We honor the championships. That one game where we had every kid that was on a championship team came back, and we had about 85 to 100 people show up, and all the former players who were on a championship team got on it. And that kind of stuff, I think Gary builds that tradition. I think that I don't do that. That's Gary Dorenzo, and they do that, and it kind of like builds community support. And but I want to say something about Ryan's senior class because he was mentioned in here. This senior class I have this year is one of the most fun, enjoyable classes I've ever coached because they're not the most talented. By no means are they the most talented, but they may be the hardest working, most dedicated kids we've had. These guys have done a tremendous job. No one would thought we would be where we are. And these guys, their leadership, quiet leadership, lead by example. And him and Smith and Jared Falco and Hurt Ramsey and Cassidy and Rolando, all those guys, they have just done a tremendous job for us.
Well, and it's obvious you can see, that we talked about some of the young guys that you mentioned when I talked to you before and preseason. That there were lots of young guys that in the future we hope to continue with the success we've had. But after the Glen Mills game, you were 2-2. It was a tough game for you. Now the last 3, you've been 3-0, and you're starting to come together as a team, Ryan. And what was the mood in the locker room? Let's go back to that Glen Mills loss, which was a tough loss for you. Now you got to start your divisional play. You start off with Upper Marion. What was the mood like? What was the feeling? As you're starting to get ready for some meaningful football.
As the way Coach put it, he said it's a 5-game season. So we just tried to focus on our side of the league games. And after our Glen Mills loss, it was kind of a turning point or a wake-up call that we got to work harder in practice and just keep getting better and better.
As one of the seniors who has certainly been around, who I'm sure works hard at practice on both sides of the ball, that kind of stuff rubs off for the younger kids. You see them now, all of a sudden they're not taking plays off as well. Yeah, and that's important. Like I said, now you win 35-0 over Upper Marion. You beat Pottstown 48-8, and then you knock off Upper Perk 62-21. You outscore your last 3 opponents 145-29, which is more of like what you have been accustomed to doing and what you would like. Well, you have to look at your records. You've won championships. You won 2 titles out of the last 4 years, and people sort of expect that out of Potts Grove now.
Yes, but you got to understand, we made some changes this year that have really done well for us. We took a couple gambles here. Like, for instance, we moved Paris Janusek from a fullback down to an offensive lineman. And Paris Janusek may be one of the best offensive linemen in the league. This kid is unbelievable. Him doing that has made us a better football team, and those are the kind of things that I like. That, we have kids that we didn't really project to do what they're doing, and now not only are they playing well, they're playing tremendous. And our defense, my goodness, we got Nehemiah Collins and Joey Palucci in there, and I don't know, between them they may not weigh 250 pounds, but those 2 guys do a tremendous job, and that's what we have. And Ryan and those seniors have built that tradition, that leadership that we need.
Yeah, well, it's very evident. Again, this is your time of season in the middle of October when you get ready to go. Let's look at the Upper Perk game a little bit. This is a game that you are certainly getting honored for, Ryan, but you've had a nice season all the way around. What kind of things did you think you had to get ready for as you're going to play Upper Perk? They're all fired up. They're coming in. They have Holman. They have Weary. They have Kendra. They got some playmakers. What did you look at this game to address it?
We knew they were going to come ready to play, so we had to cover because we knew they had a good quarterback and a good wide receiver. And then offensively, we just wanted to kind of keep a balanced attack, secure the ball, and everybody does their job well, and usually things will work out all right.
Well, obviously, Rashul Faison has certainly been a big help to you guys. A new player into your system. So it took a little while to get used to you.
Yeah, he's had to get used to me.
Used to you
he had to get used
and the
to
way
me.
You do things.
Right,
but
right.
seriously, there's certainly a talented kid that, those kind of things don't happen every day, and it's certainly a great thing for your program.
We're blessed. I'm not going to kid anybody. We're blessed to have him in our program. But he has fit very well with our kids. And I think Russell will tell you that he had a lot of learning to do. We do things a little bit different than some teams do, and there's no practice habits are a little bit different than what he was used to. He found out pretty quick, but he's a great talent, and he's fit very well in with our kids.
How's he fitting in with you guys? Pretty good.
Yeah. He's a funny guy, but then once we get on the field, it's all serious.
Business. Yeah.
It's all business.
Yeah. Well, that catch you made against Pottstown when you had him in that little seam route, and it was sort of over the wrong shoulder.
Yeah.
Coach, it was just sort of over the wrong shoulder. But anyway, he made a little nice 360 or 180 in the air and caught it and just showed his athletic ability. It was pretty amazing. And Scott Furman and I were yelling that you had trips over there, and for some reason they didn't come over and cover everybody, but you guys found that out and exploited that a little bit.
Yeah.
Huh? You in empty backfield, and you went trips one side and to the other, and you saw it, boom. That was a nice play for you. But you've been able to run the ball well, too, Ryan. Tell me what your decision-making on that. Maybe it's a little read option plays out of the spread formation. Tell us a little bit how you approach that.
You just take what the defense gives you. Coach continuously goes over our reads in practice and what defenses may tend to do, and just based off of that, take what the defense gives you.
Okay. Now, which side of the ball do you prefer? If you prefer one or the other?
Be politically correct, Brian.
There's no politically correct there. You like to hit people more than you like to get hit, or I mean, it's not a.
I like to hit people.
Yeah,
so
well,
I like
that's
defense.
what I thought. There you go.
Yeah,
Most of those guys, I know I did too when I doubled. I like the defensive side because it's a lot fun to hit people than to get hit all the time, and you get a couple shots when you're at that quarterback position, and especially when you run the options and things inside the red zone, it starts to tighten up a little bit. But you know, I talked a little bit earlier, Rick, that you know how your defense is really starting to come together now. You're only giving up 13 points a game, which is certainly in that range that you feel pretty good about.
We like to keep it under 14 points a game.
Yeah.
That's and you know my defensive coach, Coach Bradford, has done a tremendous job. He does a great job with our front seven and our secondary guys. I think we're covering much better this year. You know, we'll have a great test this week against Phoenixville. You know, they got Green, they got all these guys running around all over the place down there. But I thought, you know, our defensive backs have covered much better this year. Jer Falco, and, you know, Baldwin and Avery Grant and Bailey Delp. I think our D-backs, plus our underneath coverage with Ryan and these other guys, you know, they're doing a pretty good job.
Well, that's
see what
awesome.
happens.
Yeah, it's awesome. I was going to say, okay, Ryan, let's go. You don't have to give them every one of your secrets, but you have Phoenixville coming up this week. What do you see? What are you looking for as you break down the film?
Well, they have a pretty good running back, so first we got to stop him, and then just get better.
Keep playing your game.
Keep playing our game.
Well, he's got 1,200 yards, so obviously they like to go to him. Garcia,
Yeah.
not the biggest guy, but certainly a high school running back. Rossman is certainly more than adequate at quarterback. You mentioned Nasir Green, who's athletic, so they do pose some problems for you, Rick.
Oh, they do. But you know what we're doing right now is we watch film on them today. Our kids watch film. Our kids will be watching film tonight at home. But this time of year, Dave, we are not so worried about other teams as we are ourselves. We are working fundamentals every day of practice, and our first hour of practice still to this day is fundamentals. We're just tackling and blocking and securing the ball and things like that. And a lot of people don't do that throughout the whole year. We do it every day. Ron will tell you, I bet he gets tired of it, you know, but it's just boring. But you know, that's just the way we do it. And
I'll tell you from a personal standpoint,
That's
I coached on a staff one year that wanted to change the game plan and change what we do every week to combat the other team. I said, we play Henry Burnett. They run the same 4 plays every week, but you know what? They do it well.
Yeah,
you know, they do it well, and they're going to win games. And I know that you always respected Coach Burnett and Joe Edwards and those guys, and very similar personality. That you and I are both old school Chestmont Liggers, and that's the way we played football back in those days.
That to me is. You know, that's my offensive line. You know, I'm watching them, and they're getting better every week, and that's what I'm proud of. I'm watching our defensive line and defensive linebackers. You know, they're all getting better every week. Now, they may not get better this week, but they're getting better every week, and hopefully that'll continue through. Because if you don't, you get that lull, then you get knocked off, and we have been knocked off. We got knocked off the first round of the playoffs last year, and I thought that was my fault because we had that lull in the season, and then we didn't work real hard that week. Beat up, banged up, we take it easy, we don't block, we don't tackle, that's how you know we get knocked out.
Exactly right, I see that.
I do it our way, and if it's the wrong way, then that's okay.
Yeah.
We're going to keep doing it.
Well, your brother's up at Bucknell doing pretty well. What's the future look like for young Ryan Finn?
Right now, I'm not sure. I'm just trying to finish out football season, see how wrestling season goes.
You still like that wrestling, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
that's not a bad gig.
We'll see what pops up.
Good. Well, I'm sure something's good's going to come your way. That's for sure. And certainly a guy like Ryan, you know, coach. Again, you know, this a good kid who just does a great job with things. And we want to wish you all the best. We really do. And you know, you got that Phoenixville game coming up and a couple other things happening. But the best for you, Rick, and for you, Ryan. And I have my little mini Heisman here for you to take as a little remembrance of you being the player of the week here on the Monday Morning Quarterback. Well-deserved and a good young man. I've met a lot of nice kids sitting here the last few years, and certainly, Ryan, good job, and All the best to you, Rick, as always. Thanks again.
He's got good genes.
Thanks.
I know. Take after your sister, I guess. There he is, our player. And again, we want to thank the Trophy and Plaque Shack again, Charlie Pierce, for all your trophy and plaque needs. Get down there and check the guy out. He does a lot of great things. Well, guys, thanks again for stopping by. Good luck this week. I'll let you get out of here so you get back to your things, your film study, your homework, and whatever else you're going. Rick Pennypacker, the head coach at Pottsgrove High School in his 28th season as they're heading down the home stretch. And, of course, his senior quarterback, outside linebacker, Ryan Finn. We'll be back with more right after this.